Welcome to Sports Buds Hockey Podcast, where two friends come together to discuss all things hockey and where everyone's opinion is appreciated. Please welcome your hosts, Merrick Zemp and Collin Simpson.
Hello and welcome to Sports Buds Hockey Podcast. This is Season 3, Episode 20. My name is Merrick, and with me, as always, my buddy Collin Simpson. How you doing tonight, Sims?
Doing good. Another day, another game of hockey. More exciting games last night to talk about.
Oh, man. Loving the first round. I'm not going to lie. It was again, a bit of a roller coaster ride, the game, watching the Oilers battle back. But, it was a fun one. It was good and finally had the right result in that series. So that's a great thing. So we'll start it off with the Oilers and the Kings, Game 3. They're now back at Edmonton, so it was a big one for them. Really had to get that home ice and hopefully turn the tide of the whole series, given that they were down 2-0. So, what'd you think of the start? Where did it? Was there any surprises? Was it kind of what you figured would happen?
Yeah, as we spoke about a couple days ago, we were kind of saying that the Oilers need to take advantage of the home ice. We had talked about as good as the Kings are at home, they have to be equally or worse on the road. We knew the fans were going to be getting the building pumping like it was. So they did come out flying a little. Obviously, it was more pressure than normal. And the thing is, they scored early. So that kind of helps build on that. If the other team kind of stymies you or they get the first goal, it's hard to really use that momentum. So definitely a better start for them. You don't want to be down early. Playing comeback is a little hard. For me, I guess the biggest difference I saw through not just beginning, but most of the game would be goaltending. This is not to throw shade at Skinner in any sense, but the fact was, I don't believe the Oilers were any better at the things they did wrong from game 1 and 2 in the sense of their turnovers. They still kept throwing the puck from behind the net to an LA King over and over, and pressure on the defense was a turnover. The difference was it was just an automatic goal. Games 1 and 2, when those LA guys got the puck right in front of the net for these gifts, they put it in the net. Now, and again, that's why I'm not throwing shade at Skinner, because I don't know if I'm just going to say, well, Pickard made those saves and Skinner didn't. Sometimes it's on the forward to just not shoot it in the corner, or does, right? Like, it's not always down to, well, you didn't score because of the goalie. Sometimes you don't score because you just didn't shoot in a good spot. And so I definitely think, as much as I think the Oilers played a lot better, it's good to see them get the momentum now. They have a little more belief. I still think they really need to clean up. And again, you could tell me better than anything, Merrick. You watch them all the time. This play where the puck goes behind the net, the D-man picks it up, and his outlet is a backhander to the McDavid or to somebody just about 3 feet in front of the goalie. And I get maybe it works because when you hit a McDavid like that, and you not only you're just getting it out, it's not like just a chip out and hope. If you do well with the play, you're gone. But I've watched it happen. At least they've tried, and it's not even like, hey, it has to be something done by the coach. The coach must be taught this. But it is going so wrong.
Yeah, like with those passes, I think there's got to be a little bit of that. The Draisaitl, McDavid guys, they like that feed. They like that little chip up or whatever to them right in front and whatever. But yeah, it's a dangerous one. I think, like you talked about, they're still coughing it up a bit. But I do notice, like for me, again, like you said, I watch a lot of Oilers games. There was a few times where I felt like Skinner or like Pickard rather than Skinner made a save that, not that I wouldn't have expected him to make it, but made me, a little bit excited about it, a little bit nervous when it was getting shot, that kind of thing. And he made those saves. And there was a few occasions where that happened. And even as they came out, they got the early goal by Nuge, and then the power play goal by Bouchard, and just a classic, just stepped in and ripped a shot, and Perry right in front, he couldn't see anything. Couple of goals, and then all of a sudden Kempe scores, and you watch the play, and it went off a stick and went perfect top corner. And then in the second period, they tied up on a power play again, which we'll get to in a minute. but they tie it up again on a power play. Again, there's a stick in the way, off the stick, right top corner. These are ones that you don't, even if Skinner was in there, you're not blaming the goalie. It's getting just enough of a tick that it doesn't go by the net or over the net. Somehow they're both just getting a tick and going straight into that corner. Really tough plays for those. But again, giving up again another power play goal. I believe they are now, I want to say 7 for 12 in the on the series, which is, I mean, this is Edmonton's claim to fame, right? This is what they're supposed to do. Of course, Edmonton finally got on the board, got a couple of power play goals in this one, but a lot of deflections. But then there was a lot of plays that I just felt Pickard made a save that I wouldn't have guaranteed he was going to make. Again, no shade on Skinner, but just in this game he made those, and a couple of the ones he gave up were ones. The third goal by Doughty was from the point through traffic. He didn't see anything. It found a spot. It happens. We'll get to the fourth goal in a minute too, but I thought that there was some plays where they were still coughing it up, but I thought Pickard's kind of bailed him out a couple times that I wasn't sure he was going to.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I feel like he did play better than Skinner. But I guess my point is that you're going to see a lot of people be like, well, we would have won game 1 and 2 if Pickard was in. But I look at, okay, so the same turnovers that I watched and went to the same damn near guys. These flubs out to the middle of the ice and picked up by an LA player, Byfield and Kempe, and these guys are getting in front, Fiala. But then I watch, so Pickard makes the save, but if you were to rewatch the shot, watch where the puck was going, right? You still have to make the save, whether it's a positional save or as a save, right? But I'm watching where the shot was going. It was not going in the very corner.
Yeah.
Whereas the game before, that shot was right in the corner, and you're going, okay, if that guy would have shot that same spot, whether it's Pickard or Skinner, is it still not probably in the net because it's just a perfect shot? Right?
No,
So that's what I'm trying to say
ones,
is that you can't.
Ones that he got beat on, the first two, I think were hit him in the chest.
Yeah.
Hit him in the chest, hit him in the shoulder. I think that's where it was going. They got a stick on it. And again, you always put a stick in there. You try to stop the play before it ever develops. But at the same time, for these, two of them just went straight into the corner after a bit of a deflection.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it might have still went that corner or might have been close, but I think there's a very real chance that those would have been hitting him in the chest, positional save. He's where he needs to be.
Correct. But I'm not talking about the ones that went in. I'm talking about the ones that he saved. And I'm saying they were not corner saves. They're not a corner save.
I'm saying those goals that did go in may have also been ones that were just going to hit the goalie.
Correct.
They were, if the stick hadn't been there,
questionable shots as well.
It may not have gone into that corner. It may have just hit him in the chest.
But he did make some later on, which were saves because I consider two different things, right? I consider a positional save, or sometimes I consider just a lucky save where the puck hits you.
Yeah,
you didn't do anything. I could put a beach ball. I could put a beach ball on the net, and eventually you're going to hit the beach ball over and over as well.
Yeah.
But what are the ones you react to that if you didn't react to was in the net? And so I really differentiate, and I feel like he made a lot more of those in the late second and third, where they were like, okay, LA got the lead, and they started to get a lot of pressure, and it looked like they were going to maybe take off. And he made 3 or 4 of those type saves where, like, if he doesn't kick all the way across the net, that's in the net. If he doesn't do this, he's in the net. And those kept them alive enough to be able to battle back and get that tying goal.
Yeah.
And obviously 100%. we can get farther into that goal now.
I felt he got a couple. I felt like, there was a couple where they needed a save from him and they got it.
Yep.
So, I mean, obviously a big difference. As we alluded to, it was a back and forth game. They were up 2-1 after the first. Goal by the Kings, another goal by the Kings. Edmonton comes back and scores. 9 seconds later, LA scores on a play that I still don't even understand how a guy somehow off of a face-off at center ice gets a breakaway from the blue line. I know Wallman's hanging on him or whatever, but you just have to have a little bit of body positioning on that. There should be no chance.
Yeah, that's just a lapse in. That's a lapse in.
Yeah, you're going nuts. The crowd's going crazy.
Correct.
They just tied it. Everybody's going nuts.
You didn't get refocused quick enough
yet, and so just it's a tough one. Those are hard ones to give up. That kind of play where You were doing well, so that put them down 4-3 going into the third, and then it was a long 13 minutes till they scored. And getting to that point, they were battling, working hard. There was some chances, like you said, at the other end. You're waiting for LA to maybe put this thing away and get that fifth goal and make it 5-3, and they didn't. And then there you go. You've got Evander Kane. The reason he's out, right in the crease, getting mauled by Kopitar behind him, and still managed to kick it. Well, kick it at the goal. Lucky the goalie saved it and then put it through him with his stick. So pretty amazing. What did you think of the call by Hiller to challenge on goaltender interference? Obviously a turning point in the game, but I don't know if it's quite as bad as they make it sound.
I think it was a horrible call. Horrible call. I think he absolutely cost his team. I said it while he was calling it. I was completely shocked by it. I feel like your team is good enough 4-on-4. Tied 4 on like at 4. You had just, in my opinion, before the goal, if you were to say like those 15 minutes before, I felt like LA had more chances, better chances. So why all of a sudden?
Bare minimum, you're 50-50.
Yeah, like
Edmonton had to push, and it was still 50-50 because Edmonton's pushing and giving up odd man chances.
And Edmonton has the more pressure to win this game, right? So you can keep an even game with one team needing more pressure to win at home or go down 3-0. You've got all that advantage. And the other reason, obviously, why it's bad, it's not just situational, is you have some amazing camera angles, the same as we get on at home. And I didn't see anything from those angles that would have made me think that in any way that was not a goal, let alone the whole them checking for the kick, which made very easily showed that it didn't go directly in from the kick. It completely changed directions.
Yeah.
And then two, from
you
the
saw
interference,
it hit the pad and then come out.
I didn't see any. I didn't even see enough interference where you could be like Kopitar pushed him into him. I saw so little contact.
He dove down. The only
fell
thing
backwards. The goalie fell backwards with no contact. He was just falling backwards because it went that direction.
Yeah, it was coming around, so he was worried about it.
So what did Hiller see that he thought that was a worthwhile challenge?
The only thing I heard the announcers say and what I saw was Evander Kane's feet were right beside the pads, and worried that as he's shuffling around, maybe he hit the pads of the goalie or of Kemper,
which
something
is true.
like that.
I agree. But if he would have turned his body, so when he goes down on his pads, like he's down on his front pads, Kane's feet are there. But what did he do? He fell backwards.
Yeah. I mean, even after that, once he's already down, I think that was the only thing I could think of is when he was already down and laid out across the crease, that he couldn't move his legs because
there was no contact.
Kane was there.
I watched that thing over and over. They kept showing it over and over. There's nothing definitive enough.
Yeah. Oh, like you said, I don't even think there's anything close.
That's feeling it back on the power play again has all the momentum, because not only is it just, it's one thing to be anywhere in time to challenge certain things, but they've already got a goal that's got the crowd fired up. Then they're all fired up. Then you give them a power play.
And a timeout. So you just had McDavid, Draisaitl, Kane, all those guys out there.
They got to put up the number one again.
You got them to rest while they're all jacked and everything. They got to rest for a minute and get ready to go again for the power play.
10 seconds. So I'm sorry, Hiller would never be able to justify that call to me. I get it if it's like 2 minutes left in the game, your team, you're on the line, you're down 2-0 in the series. There's just different situations where maybe I can justify it. In that situation, there's no way to justify it.
The reason I get it, though, the reason I would say that I get it is, I didn't see it for the play. I looked at it, I watched it again, same as you. Over and over, I do not see a chance that they're going to overturn it. But if you think there's a chance, you pull it, right? You go for it and you win that. You're now 4-3. They just got gut punched by getting a tying goal taken away. And now all you got to do is ride out 6 minutes and you've got a 4-3 win and a 3-0 lead.
But based on
that, that's got to be what's going through.
But based on that theory, challenge every goal scored against you then.
No, but I mean, you're talking 6 minutes left.
No, you know what I mean? I don't care. Any goal at any time with 6 minutes, I don't care when it is, just challenge it. Because the fact of the matter, you saw nothing on that screen that told you there was interference.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, and you could challenge anytime you want to.
That's
So,
what I'm
I
saying. But
mean,
like, it could have been nobody even in the crease, and then you might as well challenge then and say, well, maybe there's a chance that someone screws up and I get this taken off because there was
it
nothing
just
on there.
I feel like maybe that blinded him in that moment, knowing that if that comes off the board, you've gut punched him with 6 minutes left, and you could be walking out of that building
Correct.
with a 3-0 lead.
But and I'm not trying to say like refs choose based on anything else, but I'm sorry, as a human being, you are influenced a little about possibly taking that and saying no goal there in Edmonton. I
Well,
just
like you
don't.
said, you
It'd
use
have
the
to
right
be
word. You
for
use the word
sure.
they use all the time. Definitive,
Correct.
right? Like it can't be kind of. It can't be maybe. It can't be
And
I think the puck crossed the line, but it was in
so I
his
mean,
glove. Like you don't challenge that because there's no point.
now the good news is, and here, okay, now I've thought about it now just because of what we're talking about. So here's the key. I wonder. Okay, no, because they did rule it a goal. Because you got to remember, they called it no goal to start on the
That's right.
ice. But okay, so then in that scenario, you don't have to prove it definitive the other way. But they then called it a goal before the challenge came because the first challenge was the refs reviewing.
Yeah, they just reviewed it. It wasn't an
So
Edmonton
because you
challenge.
remember the rule always says the call on the ice, you have to then make
Stands.
it different,
Yeah.
right? You have to. That's the person who has to come up with
Has to
proof.
be definitive proof to
So
make it different. Yeah.
do we believe then? This is an interesting part to know about the rule because they checked they called nothing on the ice, no goal. Then the refs went and checked the kicking, called it a goal. Does that goal call therefore make the challenges look and say, well, now you're challenging against a good goal on the ice versus the original good goal on the ice? Because they're different things. The burden of proof changes based on what the call on the ice is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm kind of curious in that scenario, was the burden of proof to say you have to prove it's not a goal because we've now called it a goal, or is it the opposite way because on the ice it was not a goal in the original one?
But it was like the actual challenge was for goaltender interference.
No, I get that, but for any challenge,
Yeah.
for any goal, the burden of proof is dependent on the call on the ice.
To be the opposite of what the call is.
Correct. It's like being guilty first and then proving yourself innocent, or being innocent first and proving yourself guilty.
Yeah.
Right? It's that type of concept. So in that scenario, because it did flip before they challenged, most challenges come against not a change first by the officials. It's just a goal happens, you challenge it and say, I believe the opposite from what you guys called. This actually has a reversal of the call during the play, then gets challenged.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm curious on how that plays out. Do you have to prove it differently now? Does like Edmonton have to prove it's a goal and not goaltender interference versus the other guys have to prove it is goaltender interference?
Yeah.
Just kind of curious. But either way, the fact of the matter is it was a bad call. No
Terrible.
goalie interference. It was,
Well,
completely changed the game and ended the game, in my opinion. Right, that moment ended the game.
Yeah.
10 seconds later, they scored.
Yeah.
And then it's a couple empty netters and it's done.
Yeah. Well, and even like the play that they scored right after with Draisaitl and Bouchard, something they wanted to try, something a little different. Those are the things that you have to do when what you're doing isn't working, right?
Yeah.
So what did they do for that power play?
Set play.
Same as they always do. They skated it up. McDavid did the big loop. They're going to dump it back to him, whatever. And instead, Bouchard skates in, goes right through, cuts through to the side. Draisaitl, he drops it for Draisaitl. He quickly feeds a pass, little redirection in the net. It is.
It was clearly a set play, and it was a great set play.
Yeah.
It's something you clearly look like you've run, but it was a great set play because no one was expecting it. Nobody.
Exactly. And part of that is because you give that puck to McDavid. That's how it works all the time. They always pretty much skate it in that way. So he does the big loop. They already had one of their guys drop back towards center to try to get McDavid early. All of that happens, and it comes from actually making the adjustments. They scored 2 power play goals. They hadn't scored so far in the series. They still can't shut down LA's power play. But I mean, and even the officiating, I thought it was fine. There was some on both sides that I thought were a bit much.
Yeah,
way,
I thought it was kind of actually I guess I disagree with you. I thought it was pretty poor both ways.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I think it was not. I don't think it was great officiating. I think there was calls on both sides gotten and some that were missed. Like I personally think I think there should have been a call on Draisaitl on Bouchard's goal.
When he
When
went
he gets,
right into Kopitar.
yeah, it's clear. This is blatant interference.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in my mind that's complete interference. Like, it's way more than your normal bit of a tussle. And it mainly you call it because that's literally where Kopitar would be. Like, if you're tussling a little to the side and you're a right defenseman, you wouldn't be in front of the net. Literally, his position is to go block that lane. That's why Bouchard was able to just skate with no one near him, 5 feet towards the net and bomb.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, that would have been a call right away. And there was some the other way. You're going the same thing. Going, well,
I didn't
dude.
think so. I thought that was if anything, I thought Kopitar initiated the contact,
No.
and I thought he should have gotten an additional penalty.
Yeah, not a chance.
No, but I mean, yeah, and there was another one.
That's a definite call, and it cost a goal. So.
Edmondson's stick, just comes ripping over the top and smashes Hyman in the face, like no call. Like, just there's stuff like that. I mean, it is what it is. They're going to get what they get.
Correct.
It doesn't seem
the difference
amazing.
is one caused a goal, one didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
so that's where
happened.
you do know one's direct. You can't say Hyman in his own zone was about to score a goal.
10 seconds, power plays,
and he didn't.
10 seconds it takes him to score on a power play.
He got hit in the face. He just kept skating though.
No, he went down. Yeah, well, he went down and pointed to his ear.
Don't be
I think he was bleeding. Pretty sure it was bleeding.
Don't be a sissy. Stand up. But
profusely.
Hey,
you ever see Reservoir
Hyman,
Dogs? It was kind of like that guy's ear. That's what it looked like. But Hyman kept playing because he's tough.
But here, speaking about Hyman, how much was the Oilers brass listening to our last podcast? Who did they start first shift and scored like right away?
Yeah.
What was the 3-0 that we finished just saying? Why are they not playing together? Why are they not playing together? I watched the opening. I'm like, hey, told Lisa right away. I'm like, that's the 3 me and Merrick were just saying they got to play together. And boom, goal. Okay. Yeah. That's some vindication on our part.
Yeah. We know what we're talking about once in a while. I thought Hyman at the end, bulldozing a guy out at the point, chipping it out to McDavid for an empty netter.
Correct. That was a great play.
I thought Connor Brown just
great game.
the play in front. I think it was Frederick, Kane, and Brown. I thought they had some chances near the end. I don't know if it was Frederick. It might have been Henry, but Janmark. It was Janmark. Anyway, they came around and Kane passed it to the front, chipped it in. That was to tie it at 3.
Yeah.
Brown ended up getting 2 goals. That's the kind of stuff that's going to make the difference.
Yeah, a lot of the role players had really strong games. I felt like last night for the Oilers. I think, exactly. Brown, I thought was one of their better players. I thought I saw him all over the ice. There was times where he was bombing around so much and playing well. I think he wears 28.
28.
And it just because he's got a bit of size as well. Sometimes I'm like, oh, it's Draisaitl, and then like, oh no, that's Brown.
Yeah,
like that's a pretty good thing to say. You've had a good game when I'm mistaking you for Draisaitl sometimes in the ice. That means you've played.
Well, when the
really
beards come in, once in a while he gets skating fast enough. You're almost confused it's McDavid, but
Yeah,
but no, he had a good chance killing a penalty as well.
Yep.
I think it was the first period, something like that, maybe the second, but same thing. Just got in alone and you did score, but making plays, making chances.
Speaking of killing a penalty, I think that's also. I know not Oilers. LA still was able to get power play goal, I think, but the fact is they changed to a high pressure system. Right in LA, I felt like they did a drop back, and it wasn't doing well. Whereas you watch that last game that Bieksa and a lot of those guys were talking about too, saying like it's doing better because they're going at the players. Well, look at the Doughty fumble at the blue line.
Yeah.
Right? That's right at the end, but that was the same reason, because they were pressuring points higher.
Yeah.
And really during the power play, they really pushed those points. Say like, okay, you have to beat us with a perfect pass, and if you do, it's probably a tap in because we're so high up.
Mm-hmm.
But let's use our speed on you and prove that, okay, you guys have to be very wary what you're doing at the point, because we've got the type of speed that if you mess up, we're gone shorthanded.
Yeah, and that was really where they were last year when they went all the way to the finals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I felt like they did that last year's playoffs.
Their penalty kill was unreal last year.
But I think it was that play, though. I believe it was a high pressure. I remember watching it, and it was a high pressure. Vancouver sometimes does it really well, too. They're another team that does that high pressure well, and I think if you've got players that can take off, if you don't have superstar guys coming on there who can take off, maybe as a defenseman you're a little less worried about the high pressure. Yeah. But when you're looking at some of the speedsters, you really got to be aware of that pass across D to D. You're making the other team change up what they want to do, and I felt like that was a big part of it.
Well, and we talked about the deflections already, but both of the deflection goals were where they kind of gave the guys room to walk in. Like they managed to just get a puck or get a stick back in there. But Fiala's goal and Kempe's goal were both ones where they had the room. They had basically an open lane to the net. They, there's guys coming, so they shot, but they had a lot of room to be able to step in and do it. And both those goals were like that. Fiala's was on the power play, so it was just finding that last bit. And I think it was like 10 seconds left or 20 seconds left. End of the power play. They just got to make sure and keep those lanes tight that way and keep that pressure on. And I think they'll be better. So,
all right. Well,
I
game
think it'll make a
game
big
4
difference.
tomorrow. What
Game
are we
4 is
thinking?
tomorrow.
What do
I
you
think
see?
the Oilers are going to win it. I think it'll be a couple of goals apart, maybe like a 4-2 or a 5-3. And I think that they've figured out what they need to do a little better, and I think they'll move forward doing it.
Obviously,
and I think now's the time.
Pickard in the net.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think they'll stay with him. I think in this game, you look at the one, like I mentioned, that he got behind him and scored for the fourth goal. That was kind of a weaker one. Doughty's was through a screen, and the other two were deflected. I think we both agree that we felt like he made a couple saves. You need your goalie to make a couple saves. Like they won. He let in 4 goals, and that was okay. But you needed him to make a couple saves, and when they needed it, he did. And I think you go with him again for at least another game.
So without going down the rabbit hole, and because we can speak about this more, but it does just kind of come into my head. Let's say Oilers continue on a run here and beat the Kings.
Yeah.
Right? And they continue further into the playoffs, and they ride Pickard. Right?
Yeah.
Is that the end of Stuart Skinner? How do you go back to him?
I think at some point they will have a game where Pickard will be tired.
Yeah.
Where Pickard will be the not the cause or whatever, but there will be a game where he doesn't make the saves that you need him to make. And at that point, it may go back to Skinner.
No, I know. I get
so, I mean, that's what I see. But if he does go all the way and keeps going,
that's what I'm
then
saying.
I think probably yes.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'm not saying
it just depends.
Pickard will fail.
You can't go with Pickard for a season.
No, Pickard will not go the whole. I'm not saying he will go the whole way. It's unlikely.
Yeah.
He's not that player.
No, but if he did, realistically, if he actually did, they just kind of kept going with a hot hand, and somehow he goes the rest of the way and has a good game, a bad game, but they keep winning and they're doing fine. They go all the way to the cup and win it. I think maybe you see a 1A, 1B, or I think you see a trade where they keep Pickard and they move Skinner for somebody else to be their 1.
The only reason I bring that up is I feel like Stuart Skinner's been on the hot seat for 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
Of like, is he good enough? Should he be here? Is he the guy?
Yeah.
And if you lose your net once again to another guy and they run with him, there's a possibility neither one of them could be there in the future, I guess, in a sense. But I'm just saying, Skinner's been talked about
32, so he's not young.
That's what I'm saying. I could see them just going off of both of them though. Like Pickard's getting too old to keep, and then Skinner. At what point do you go? You're not the guy. We have no faith in you.
The fact is, even last year, Pickard started to. Skinner came back in, went the rest of the way, and won some games for the Oilers. Absolutely won some games for the Oilers.
And he may do the same thing. That's my point. So, that's not the question. It was a matter of if he doesn't do that, where is he?
Yeah, no, and I think it's more just you have a guy, you have a supremely talented guy that has that ability in him. It's just trying to get it out of him consistently. And yeah, at some point you go, you know what? I'll take a guy that can just get me a 905. I know he's not going to get me a 920 save percentage like you can do sometimes, but he's going to get me 905 for the whole year. And I'm good with that. And I'll take that. And they may end up going to that. And I think that, if Skinner, if they don't get what they need out of Skinner this year, I think that probably that would be my guess, is that they keep Pickard, move Skinner, and go from there. But they may also just let Pickard go, keep Skinner, and try to find another 1A type of guy.
Yeah, I just feel like most
Stolars in Toronto, stuff like that, where you get these guys that just need the right thing, and maybe that's the opportunity. But I don't know.
I just thought about it just because of the fact we're in game 3 and game 4, and your starting goalie is not even a thought process.
Yeah,
that's really early into a playoffs to be like going, well, this guy may never see the net again.
Yeah.
So that's all. That's the only reason I thought about it. Okay, so what
Yeah.
else?
And
What
what
else
about
has
you?
happened?
What's your call for Sunday's game?
I think they should win it. I think they need to clean up those turnovers. I think LA's too good a team to keep giving them those chances in the slot off of nothing that they've even earned.
Yeah,
Like they're literally just floating about almost in a trap, and you're just throwing the puck out front. Clean those up, and then they have to beat them in special teams again.
yeah,
And they win. I think whoever wins in special teams wins that game. I think if Oilers don't get more power play goals than the Kings get, I think the winner of that is more or less your winner of that game.
yeah.
Um, I'll still probably go Oilers in overtime. That's kind of where I guess it's going to be, but yeah. So I think we will be going back to LA at 2-2.
Perfect. No, I agree with that. I think it's going to be a couple goals. I think they'll be up by 2. So 4-2, 5-3. One of those two scores for me. So, but yeah, this is the big one, right? I mean, obviously the game 3 was the big one if they had lost it and whatever, but they're no better off being down 3-1 going back to LA than they would have been, 3-1 by winning game 4. So they got to win this one too. You got to go back and try to win game 5 and make sure that you guys make sure that they can come back home. Hopefully, ideally, with a chance of winning the whole series would be
Well,
ideal.
and it brings your confidence, right? Going back 2-2 obviously is better than 3-1, but it also means that if you go down 3-1, and let's say Pickard has a bad game, where are you now going in down 3-1 and not even sure what goalie should be in the net?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's not exactly a confidence boost. You want to be going into elimination games going, someone flip a coin for our goaltender tonight.
Yeah.
But okay, so what else did we have happen since we last talked?
Well, it was a big Friday night. We had a whole bunch of teams were down 2-0. So you had the Caps and the Canadians, you had the Hurricanes and the Devils. The Devils and the Canadians were just like the Oilers down 2-0. So why don't you recap those two scores for us?
Well, with the Canadians game, kind of as we spoke about last time we were on, we kind of figured the Canadians would take a game back from the Capitals. Didn't say it would be the next game, but we knew that offensive talent of theirs could break out quite a few goals. And being at home, they took advantage of the excitement. They didn't completely outplay the Capitals despite the score of 6-3, but you did see the high end talent come out on some goals. There was a
A lot of
beautiful
rough
play
stuff in
by
this one too.
this
A little
series
bit
has
of
been
brawling on the
this
bench and
surprisingly rough series. I'll be honest, because I look at the Canadians and they're a small team, so it's not really their identity.
yeah,
But you can see St. Louis, a very grizzled veteran player who knows what it takes to win in the playoffs, and I think he's gotten through to his team to be like, you know what, don't make this easy. We're not the
yeah,
favorites. We're not
yeah.
expected to win this, but whether we win or lose, let's make a mark on the playoffs and make a mark on this team that would they win the President's Trophy.
Yeah.
Correct?
No,
Who did?
Winnipeg did.
Oh, Winnipeg did. But you know what I mean? But just to make sure that people understand, not only do we have talented players, because this is what's going to be said about Montreal. You've drafted well, but you've drafted small. You've drafted talented. Are you a playoff team, right? Because you're going to look at them and go, well, you look like you're built for the regular season. But they're
Yeah,
coming out and showing, you know what? When push comes to shove, we can play playoff hockey.
yeah,
And so, yes, it could be an exciting series depending on what happens in the next game.
yeah. No, it was good to see. It was good to see them fighting back. Interesting note in this one, I saw both Logan Thompson and Montembeault were both injured in this game. So whether you'll see one or both of them back could make a big difference. I think the Logan Thompson was absolutely lights out for the Caps this year. So without him, obviously that's going to take him down a notch and see what happens there. So I didn't see when it was in the game. I watched some of it, but I didn't notice who the goalie was, to be honest, when I was watching. So yeah, I
Yeah, I
don't
didn't
know if
either.
they scored 5 of the 6 on the other goalie or if they scored, 2 of the 6 or 1 of the 6 on the other goalie. So, and then the other series, Devils and Hurricanes. So, another good one shaping up at home. A little bit of redemption again by the home team. So the Devils came back in overtime and won this one to get down 2-1 to Carolina. So, interesting series developing there as well.
Yeah, I called a sweep on this one. This would be the one I thought would have been a sweep. Obviously, it was close to probably getting that way if they came back. I'm would not change my thing. All I'm changing it to is I'm moving it over by 1, saying 4-1 Carolina.
Yeah, I'm still going 5 on this one too. I'm
So
glad that the Devils won a game. I like you said the last time, having these guys actually kind of break through and show what team they're going to be without Jack Hughes is a big ask for a team like that. So
Yeah.
I really feel like this would have been I would probably lean Devils if Jack Hughes was there. So
Well, it's a whole different team. He's a game changer.
yeah. So I mean, it sucks that he doesn't get to be. Then it is what it is. But yeah, I still think that's a
Yeah, and
5
it's
series.
not a slight at the Devils because we're actually saying the opposite in the sense of good on you for missing such a game changer and trying to make a series of this. It's
Yeah.
just that there's always a point in time where you're just overwhelmed by talent and depth and everything. And if you do beat them, good on you, but just don't see it happening.
There's just not many. There's not many teams in the league that can lose a top player. And Jack Hughes is a top 10, 15, or 20 scorer and player in this league. So, yeah, to lose that off your roster is always tough. A couple early scores today. Lightning looks like they got back into their series. They were down 2-0 to Florida, so they got back in it and won 5-1 today. We kind of called that, figured the Lightning would win at least one back home. Didn't think it was going to be a Panthers sweep or anything by that stretch. So we can see what happens with that one tomorrow or the next time they play, because that could go back the other way and could be a split or it could be a 3-1. That'll be interesting to see what happens there. And then in overtime, a little bit of a surprising one, the Golden Knights needed overtime to get back into their series, down 2-1 already. So they won today to tie it up at 2 with Minnesota. So now it's a best of 3. Did they hold off the heater of Kaprizov and Boldy long enough to now just their depth will start scoring? They'll win a couple more and win it in 6, or is the Wild going to just jump right back? I mean, an overtime win isn't way ahead of the Wild by any stretch, especially considering you were down 2-1 after a couple of 5-2 losses.
Yeah, no, definitely. I thought the Golden Knights would make short work of the Wild compared to what they're doing. Obviously, the Wild are proving that they have every right to be here. And they're playing well. Yeah, right at this point in time, it's kind of a coin flip. I still obviously favor the Golden Knights just due to the fact that a long series also means more depth. We've talked about it before. So if you're going to go 7 and you get home ice and you've been there before way more than a lot of the players on the Wild, you have to do that. But Minnesota's the type of team that can surprise people. So
yeah,
who knows?
I mean, a 7-game series, it feels long, but a couple games can go by you real quick. So, and then, so we've got the Leafs and the Senators tonight and the Stars and the Avalanche tonight, I think, as well. So those are still coming. We'll see what happens with those. Obviously, the Leafs up 3-0. Just doing everything they can to make sure they get into that second round. So good on them for getting there, for trying. They're the only team up 3-0, I think, at this point. So impressive. That's a pretty good start. Not very often do you see no chances of sweeps, or very few, I guess. So we can see what happens there. Great playoffs so far. Real good chat, Simps. I think we're both excited. I could tell we're turning you maybe once and for all. We'll turn you to the good side forever. I can feel it coming. I'm hearing more warmth when you talk about the Oilers, and I think it's really good to see. It's really
all I can say is 93. The only reason any person who's not living in Edmonton gives any clout to the Oilers is 93, meaning it's been that long since a Canadian team has won. We will cheer for absolutely anybody at this point out of Canada.
All right, I thought you were talking about Nugent Hopkins. Also really good reason to enjoy the number 93.
No, we need a win north of the border here. So
oh man, it's looking good though. Hopefully we can see a number of teams into the next round. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for a couple of these series. All right, Sips, I want to thank you. Great talk tonight. And then we'll be right back at this. The plan is to continue to catch all the games, keep you guys updated on the first round and what we think and what's going on. And if you have any questions, don't forget to drop us a line. Facebook, we've got our group. You can go to the website. And of course, it's www.sportsbuds.com. That's sportsbuds.com or .ca. You can find us on Spotify, on YouTube, Apple, Google. We're pretty much everywhere for all of those. So make sure to drop us a line, make sure to subscribe, do all that stuff so that we can see where you are and see if we can help you out and make sure we get all the talking in that you need. So thank you, Sims. Have a great night.
Take care, everybody.